The girl stepped into the lavish jewelry store, her eyes lighting up at the rows of glittering treasures. Everything was picture perfect, down to the flawless marble floors and the shining chandeliers casting a soft glow over the dazzling pieces. But what began as an innocent visit quickly took a dark turn. The seller, a well-dressed, imposing woman named Janine, caught sight of her and immediately narrowed her eyes, scrutinizing the young girl with a look that could freeze fire. "Can I help you?" Janine's voice was as cold as the diamonds displayed in glass cases around them. The girl, unfazed, simply smiled and pointed to a delicate gold necklace. But as she reached out to admire it, Janine's hand shot out, slapping her wrist away with a forceful blow that echoed across the quiet store. "Don't touch that! You people are always coming in here and messing things up. Can you even afford to be in here?" The girl's face fell, shock and hurt flooding her expression. She had only wanted to surprise her mom with something beautiful, a small thank you for everything she'd done. Yet, here she was, being shoved away like a criminal. But what Janine didn't know was that this girl's father wasn't just anyone. He was the owner of the entire jewelry empire, and his daughter wasn't just a stranger off the street. She was his world. Janine was about to learn the hard way that no one, and I mean no one, mistreated his daughter. The moment the girl sent her father a quiet, panicked text, the wheels of justice began to turn. A storm was brewing, and by the time her father arrived, Janine would be left wishing she'd never crossed the line. As soon as the girl sent her father the text, she felt a mix of relief and apprehension. She had never been one to call her dad for help over small conflicts, but this felt different. The way the woman looked at her, the way she talked down to her, it made her skin crawl. She took a deep breath and tried to shake it off, her eyes darting around the store for a safe corner, far from Janine's cold, scrutinizing stare. Meanwhile, her father, Gregory Ellington, sat in his office on the top floor of his downtown New York skyscraper, reviewing a report when his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and his heart sank. His daughter, Mia, had texted him 3 words he'd never expected to see from her. "Dad, help, now." He was on his feet in an instant, not waiting for another message. Years of hard work had earned him respect and recognition in the jewelry industry, and his empire spanned boutiques across major U.S. cities. But none of his business successes mattered compared to his daughter. She was his pride and joy, and the thought of her in distress, especially in one of his stores, made his blood boil. Gregory didn't waste a second. He grabbed his keys and hurried down to his car, calling his assistant on the way. "Cancel everything for the rest of the day. I'll be at the Fifth Avenue store. Tell security I want the entire place on standby." As he drove through Manhattan's bustling streets, Mia took a deep breath, her nerves still frayed. Janine stood by the counter muttering under her breath, glancing at her with disgust as if she didn't belong in the pristine environment of the store. When Gregory finally pulled up outside, he saw the familiar gleam of his store's golden logo shining under the midday sun. He walked in, his powerful stride cutting through the store's serene atmosphere like a knife. Janine looked up, her irritation quickly shifting to confusion, then apprehension, as she recognized him from the corporate meetings she'd occasionally attended. But she had no idea what had brought him here. "Where's my daughter?" Gregory asked, his voice calm but dangerously low. Mia stepped forward, relief flooding her face as she saw her father. Without a word, she ran to him, and he wrapped his arm protectively around her. "Dad, she hit me," Mia whispered, her voice trembling. Gregory's expression hardened. He locked eyes with Janine, who now looked visibly uncomfortable. "Is this true?" he asked, his tone like ice. Janine's face flushed and she stumbled over her words, trying to backtrack. "Sir, I thought she was touching the merchandise, maybe even trying to steal. I didn't know she was your daughter." Gregory's eyes narrowed. "And why does it matter if she's my daughter? No one should be treated this way in my store. No one should be treated this way, period." Realizing her mistake, Janine tried to salvage the situation, stammering out apologies. I'm so sorry, sir. I didn't mean to. I didn't know who she was." But Gregory was far from forgiving. He called over the store manager, a middle-aged man who had worked under him for nearly a decade. "John," he said, his voice tight with controlled anger, "I want this woman's employment terminated, immediately. Her behavior in my store is unacceptable." As Janine's face turned a ghostly white, Gregory continued, not letting her get a word in. "And while we're at it, I think it's time to revisit the hiring and training protocols here. This is supposed to be an inclusive, welcoming space for all our clients, not a place where people feel threatened or judged based on the color of their skin." Turning to Mia, he softened, his hand resting on her shoulder. "Are you okay, honey?" he asked, concern filling his eyes. She nodded, though her eyes were still rimmed with tears. I don't understand why she treated me like that. I was just looking around, like any other customer." Gregory hugged her close, anger simmering beneath the surface as he thought about the countless stories he'd heard of people facing discrimination in places they should feel safe. But to have it happen to his own daughter, in his own store, that was more than he could bear. He turned to Janine one last time. "I'll be expecting a written apology sent to my daughter," he said, voice steely. "And if I ever hear of anything like this happening in one of my stores again, you'll be hearing from my lawyers. Consider this your final warning, not just as an employee, but as a human being. Reflect on your actions." Gregory and Mia left the store together, his arm around her shoulders as they walked down Fifth Avenue. People bustled past them, but Gregory kept his attention focused on Mia, listening as she shared her feelings about the incident. Back at the office, he called a meeting with his upper management, determined to create a zero-tolerance policy for discrimination across all his stores. He drafted an open letter to be sent to all employees, laying out the values that the company stood for, values that extended beyond business to encompass respect, dignity, and inclusivity. Within days, news of the incident had spread among employees, and word even reached local news outlets. Gregory's commitment to diversity and respect became a headline, and customers praised his swift and decisive action. The jewelry store chain, which had always prided itself on elegance and prestige, now gained a new layer of reputation, one of social responsibility and unwavering integrity. And for Mia, the experience left a lasting lesson about standing up for herself and the power of having allies who would fight by her side. As for Janine, she reflected on the incident for a long time, grappling with the consequences of her actions. Gregory's words echoed in her mind, challenging her to confront her own biases and prejudices. The lesson was harsh, but it marked the beginning of a change she never saw coming. As the days passed, the incident at the jewelry store became a hot topic, reaching far beyond the confines of the city. Gregory's open letter, emphasizing respect and inclusivity, resonated with people all over, sparking conversations on social media, in boardrooms, and around family dinner tables. Gregory's store had become more than just a place to buy jewelry. It was now a symbol of progress, integrity, and standing up against discrimination. But Gregory wasn't finished. A few weeks after the incident, he planned something special, something he hoped would create lasting change. He sent out invitations to employees, families, and the public to a celebration event at his flagship store. The invitation read, "Join us for a night dedicated to change, growth, and unity. A night where we take a stand for respect and dignity for all." On the night of the event, the Fifth Avenue store was transformed. A stage had been set up in front of the store, adorned with lights and decorations that gleamed like the precious jewels inside. Hundreds of people gathered, including local press and media outlets eager to cover the event. Mia stood beside her father, looking around in awe. She had never imagined that her painful experience would lead to something so powerful. Gregory gave her shoulder a gentle squeeze, smiling down at her with pride. As the crowd settled, Gregory took the stage, holding the microphone with calm confidence. His voice, amplified through the speakers, was clear and powerful. "Thank you all for being here tonight," he began, his gaze sweeping across the audience. "What happened to my daughter that day was painful, but it was a wake-up call, not just for me, but for all of us. We cannot let prejudice or discrimination go unchecked, especially in places that should feel safe for everyone. He paused, letting his words sink in. This store is my pride and joy, but it's more than just a business. It's a place that represents hard work, passion, and the beauty of diversity. That's why I'm introducing a new initiative tonight, one that I hope will serve as an example for businesses everywhere. He glanced over at Mia, then back at the crowd. Starting today, we're launching a scholarship program in my daughter's name, the Mia Ellington Empowerment Scholarship. It will be dedicated to young people from underrepresented communities who have dreams and ambitions but need a little support to reach them. We'll be funding their education, providing mentorship, and giving them the tools they need to thrive, in our stores and beyond. The crowd erupted into applause, cheering and clapping as Gregory's announcement sank in. Mia's eyes filled with tears, her heart swelling with pride and gratitude. Her father had turned her painful moment into something beautiful, something that would touch countless lives. But Gregory wasn't finished yet. He gestured toward the back of the crowd where a familiar face stepped forward, looking nervous but determined. It was Janine, the former salesperson who had mistreated Mia. She held a small envelope in her hand, her eyes downcast as she approached the stage. The crowd grew silent as Janine walked up to the microphone, glancing at Gregory, who gave her a small nod. She took a shaky breath and began speaking, her voice filled with remorse. "I'm here tonight because I made a mistake. A big one," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I treated someone unfairly, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life. What I did to Mia was wrong, and I know there's no excuse for it. But I want everyone to know that I'm committed to change. I want to be better." She held out the envelope, her hand trembling. "Mr. Ellington has given me a second chance, a chance I don't deserve, but he's asked me to start by giving this," she said, handing the envelope to Mia. "It's a donation to the scholarship fund, to show my commitment to helping others and making amends. I'm not the same person I was that day, and I want to be part of the solution." Mia looked at the envelope in her hand, then at Janine. She could see the genuine remorse in her eyes, and despite everything, she felt a surge of empathy. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward and hugged Janine, surprising everyone, including Janine herself. The crowd cheered, moved by the act of forgiveness and unity. Tears streamed down Janine's face as she hugged Mia back, grateful for the second chance and determined to make it count. As the night continued, people mingled, shared stories, and celebrated the spirit of the event. The scholarship program inspired countless individuals, and Gregory's jewelry empire was no longer just a business but a beacon of hope and change. The final moment of the evening was one Mia would remember forever. She stood by her father's side, looking out at the crowd, feeling a new sense of purpose and pride. The experience had brought them closer together, strengthening their bond and giving Mia the confidence to believe in herself, and to stand up for what was right. From that night on, the Ellington name wasn't just associated with luxury and elegance. It became a symbol of resilience, compassion, and the power of change. And as father and daughter watched the city lights twinkle in the distance, they knew they had created something lasting, something that would impact generations to come. In the end, the legacy wasn't just in diamonds and gold, it was in the hearts they'd touched and the lives they'd transformed.